What's up, everybody? Today is March 31st, Friday. Elite's weekly recaps. Today is kind of a no topic day. We're just going to talk about some RSI MACD combination to help you kind of through some choppy zones. Um, and we'll get into Lasagna Cat's trades, Whiplash trades, and then we'll have Q&A. If you have any questions during the topic, feel free to jump in. If I do hear background noise, I'll mute you. But feel free to unmute yourself if you're ready to talk. Um, so off um, during the pre-video meeting or whatever, before we start recording, we were talking about getting into a position or sweating bullets during the consolidation zone, and it's a little bit iffy, especially when it's really choppy. Like you can see right here, it kind of topped out. And something that would tell you that it's going to top out is the RSI overheat. The RSI overheat is going to tell you that in the Bollinger Band is probably going to tell you that it's going to begin to either consolidate or going to have a pullback. A lot of the times when you're in a consolidation zone like this, you want to see a pullback back down to the 50 RSI if you want to see continuation up. Um, but then this morning, there's a little area right here where it was really choppy. This area right here where it was really choppy. And some of the rules that I use for this kind of um, play that I use, which is the RSI, TTM, and the TTM is kind of redundant, but if it if the TTM, RSI, and MACD all line up, you're most likely gonna get a play in that direction. Um, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And something there was a couple of clues today that Brandon kind of talked about on MACD, and it was around this area. And that's something that I kind of look for, especially when you combine it with the RSI, because it I feel in my experience the last couple of weeks the RSI will signal first, and then you'll get another signal on the MACD, and then TTM will signal, and then volume will be with coincide with the TTM. And that's the way that I kind of use it. So I look at price action. I'm looking at RSI kind of like a guide to tell me, okay, what's going on. And something that's been helping me is this orange line is the average, and this blue line right here is the RSI, the relative strength. um, so right here you see it creating higher or lower highs.
Oye, Ulises, la cámara que está puesta acá, esta es la que vamos a poner.
Um, so you see the RSI divergence right there. The only reason why I wouldn't go short here is because you never got the MACD. You almost got it right there, your MACD cross. The MACD cross. If the MACD would have crossed, you would have expected go down to the 50, which it did a few minutes later, once after it got the cross. So you get the RSI cross right here early, and then you get the MACD cross right there. Like I've been averaging, and it's between 3 to 4 bars where you get the MACD cross. And when you get that combo together, you're expecting it to bounce off of the 50 RSI. And depending on the distance of price action, from a moving average, that's where it most likely will bounce. Um,
So on RSI right there, where you made the box,
which
it's
one? This
dip
box or this
uh
box?
on RSI, yeah,
Oh yeah,
right there
yeah,
in
yeah.
that box. So it's you identified a cross, but it looks like the two lines are kind of jumbled and it hasn't decided, or is that do crosses always kind of look that way where they sort of lace together like that?
They cross right here. You can barely see it right here,
I see, yeah, and then the
right there,
RSI,
and then
yeah,
it goes down and it doesn't go above the orange, and
right.
it stays, it stays below the orange, and then you get the cross right here.
I see. And then like just kind of reading the way this looks is like the MACD cross seems to have like a longer kind of lifespan to it in terms of it being like clear.
What do you mean
Like
being clear?
because once that cross happens, it seems to continue. Whereas with the RSI, it's like it keeps on like it looks like it crosses and recrosses.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I see what you mean,
yeah,
and that's why I use them together, because sometimes the RSI gives you this jumbly freaking crossover, crossover, cross under, crossover, cross under. You're like, what the heck?
yep,
And then you finally get the cross, but you start see how they're spread apart right here, and then
yeah.
they start getting closer and closer and closer.
Hmm.
That's what I'm looking for, and that's what Brandon was looking for this morning. And I was kind of looking at that too,
Yeah.
because that had my eye. And I said it in chat. I said it looks like the RSI is waiting for the MACD to cross.
Mm.
That's
Hmm.
where, if you look back in the chat, that's what it said. And then you get the MACD cross. Look at it's right here. It bounced off the 50, lost to 50, came back above the 50, and then hovered right here.
Yeah.
And then it hovered. And then you got the cross above the 50. You got TTM, and then you got the cross at MACD.
Yeah.
So you kind of got all three right there, all stacked up together. And
Hmm.
then like 3 or 4 bars later, boom, you get that cross.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you could wait for that pullback back to the 50% fib level.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like if you would have shorted up here, because you could have shorted the top of the Bollinger Band there, you would have got a little bit drawdown right here, but um, that's fine. And that's where the Bollinger Band combined with all this, it kind of tells a story um, where y like the only time I've shorted and I've gotten really consistent results is when the RSI overheats, and I don't enter when it overheats. I enter when it overheats, and then it enters back right here when it breaks down right here. And that's only like if you're getting some other indicators, like the top of the Bollinger Band. If it sees it like that, and if it would have overheated, then yeah, I probably would have entered. But when you're scalping those plays, you're looking like 2 to 4, maybe 6 points max. Um, but like I said, the RSI and the MACD are telling you the story. And if you're seeing it kind of conk out up here, and you see a consolidation zone, the Bollinger Bands, you can see them right here. They were super tight. And let's say that you were a buyer. One of the rules that I use is that I will not enter, my fishing order. If I see everything playing out, like if I see RSI coming down to the 50, and then I see, like, for instance, MACD getting closer, like it did right here,
Hmm.
then I'll put a fishing order out on the bottom Bollinger Band. That's my that's my entry. That's if I'm
Oh.
not using the fib, right? If I'm not using the fib play.
Hmm.
Um, but even if I do enter on a play where I'm not fibbing it out, sometimes I do fib just so I can see where it could possibly go.
Yeah. Um, so like Do you see an entry that you might have taken prior to that? At like 727, there is that pop up and then a pullback to the 50. Yeah,
Right here,
yeah, that nice pop up and then pull back. So like at that pullback, where the big red, what you call it, um,
right here.
candle is that comes back down. Oh no, just the to the right of it, the big pop.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, so that right there, yeah, that pulled back to the 50 there. So that's obviously a great entry. But you might have just said this with the Bollinger Band entry. So you would have maybe entered that in the consolidation zone, like before it did the pop and retrace.
I did. I was entering here.
You did. All right, cool. Because like it's interesting. It's like where I don't know, at like 710, you pointed out this spot before where the MACD was getting close to a crossover. It was making that, yeah,
Oh
right
yeah, right
there.
here.
Yeah, that spot. Like looking at that and then also looking at the RSI like bouncing off the 50 repeatedly, I kind of would have been like, yeah, that might be the right place to take it. In that area. Um, plus also TTM was pretty indecisive. Yeah. I guess if I have a question in there anywhere, like would you say at least in this example, like yeah, like that's a decent entry?
This was a gamble
Mm-hmm.
to
Okay.
to tell you straight up, because I mean, if if you would have been short, and there probably was a couple of traders that were short, but hopefully they were entering up here,
Yeah.
not down here.
Right.
At least that were on elites, right? Because we're
Yeah.
always taught to enter at the top, not at the bottom.
Right.
If you're going short.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean for a long entry though.
Yeah, for a long entry,
Yeah.
like I said before, I've mentioned it before, where the Bollinger Band kind of stacks up with the 50s.
Yeah.
That's a support. So that's one strong support.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, the RSI 50. Like I said, it looked like it was just lagging. Like it just didn't want to give up the 50.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of gotta look at the MACD and you see it getting closer and tighter. Cause look at right here, it was really wide apart. And usually it does a smooth kind of entry.
Yeah.
It doesn't like jolt back down to it.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that means there was a lot of buyers coming in right here. Even though there's a red bar right here
right.
in this area, for you to do that to the MACD wave right here,
Mm-hmm.
there's a big pop of something. And if it were to do at the bottom, going down, then there's a lot of sellers there.
Oh yeah, and I just figured something like that first part where it gets close around 710.
Hmm.
That's really far from the bottom, which is where that next what you call it, where it ultimately did close up for the long play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
right.
here.
Yeah, because it hit the bottom. Like I don't even know what that stuff is because I haven't looked at RSI, like those bars, the blue bars and stuff in the zero level. But just looking at it, I would assume that that's the stronger support, because
Yeah,
it came down.
because I got in right here, and I got a little bit of drawdown right here. I was down like a 0.25.
Right.
Um, and I bought more because I seen this getting closer.
Yeah.
So I bought right there, and then I bought like over here again too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I was in with 4 contracts, and the reason why I say it was a gamble was because farm data or something came out or was gonna come out, right?
Yeah.
It came out right here at 7,
All right.
No, farm data
or
is
not farm data,
in
but
10 minutes.
PCE.
Yeah.
Something came out at 7. I don't remember, but it was good. It was good numbers. Um, but it was weird. Like I said, the RSI was kind of just like just hanging around the 50.
Yeah.
Usually it would just break
Consumer
and keep
sentiment.
going. Thanks, Whiplash.
I mean, looking at that RSI action around the 50, it does appear like the pullbacks onto the 50, like in the shit, what am I saying? It just looks stronger above the 50 because those pullbacks look more real, in the consolidation zone of RSI, whereas the ones underneath are like very small and
Oh
seem
yeah,
to.
like over here.
Yeah, totally. And I got two more questions just about this specific play because this
Yeah.
is a lot of stuff. Like there's actually a lot of good info in this one play that we're talking about. So you mentioned that it was kind of a gamble, but after that big pop and then the pullback to the 50, at that point in your mind, does it cease to be a gamble? Because that looks opportune to me, like in the, you know what I
Wait,
mean?
right here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that would be perfect. That was the first pullback.
Yep. And
Um.
the other
So
thing I was, oh yeah, sorry.
go ahead.
Well, the other thing I was curious about, separate question, is also there were no like really visible buyer beats in that whole consolidation, and that alone might have made me not look at this play. But with all that you're teaching here about MACD, RSI, TTM, do you think in like a lot of cases that would trump the consolidation volume, or how do you weigh those against each other?
I do, but I usually, like I said, I look at price action where it's at in relative to the moving average or the Bollinger Bands,
Yeah.
or a daily level, or like I've said before, I've posted some pictures of the doji levels. For some
Mhm.
reason, ES respects doji levels, and if it's like a straight, like a line doji,
Yeah.
those are like really strong levels right there. And shot out a screenshot earlier on the futures chat or somewhere, where one doji level interacted with about 5 or 6 other dojis,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, I
or
saw that
other
one.
bodies or other wicks.
Yeah.
So those levels are strong, and when it's going to that price action, I'm looking at RSI first off to see where it's at. If it's in the bottom zone
Hmm.
right here,
Yeah.
I'm checking if it's on a downtrend to see if it's gonna overcool, and then if I think it's gonna do that, then I'm looking at MACD to see if it's headed um below this center line.
Yeah.
Because for some reason I'm not 100% sure, or I haven't done the research behind the theory, but they say that the you want the cross to be below the line to go long. And you see right here, the cross happens like right at the line, and even over here,
Yeah.
right at the line.
Yeah.
But when you get the cross like up here, like say it would have crossed right here, that
Mm.
probably would have been like a false breakout.
Yep.
Compared to as you get it down here, it's like the buyers are building up, and then you want them to.
Yeah. I was listening to a mini lesson of Brandon's about the MACD, and he described MACD as more of the like reversal indicator, whereas TTM is more of the squeeze indicator.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
yeah, so that's these examples of crosses happening at that bottom line.
And that's where I kind of use TTM to tell me how big a move it's gonna be,
Uh-huh.
and using it with RSI combination. Because, like, let's say for example, you get in right here, right? So how big is the move gonna be? At least, um, you would say from here to the overheat,
Hmm.
which it did, but way over here, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's what you're assuming is if you're over here, your target would be to stay in until it overheats.
Yeah.
You probably would have got scared out right here. But still, if you would have entered down here, you still would have been up.
And also at that point, it hasn't dipped back into the buy zone, probably.
No.
Yeah. Yes, you could use that. And also, yeah. Yeah, I probably would have exited somewhere around there. Come to think of it, with like, that big red bead and stuff. But
Yeah.
this chart, just by looking at it, like may not be the easiest one. There's a lot of There's a lot of good info in here, but like especially where that play was beginning to play out.
Hmm.
I don't know how long I would have been in it.
I mean, I got in even last night's play where I got in over here. Oh, come on. Closer to the open. Right here. I got in right here on this
Yeah.
candle right here. The only reason was the 200 was right there. I seen a gap right here.
Hmm.
So me, I was thinking, okay, I'm thinking this one's gonna close, and it finally did.
Yeah.
Um,
December, where did you get in on this one?
right here on this little green candle.
Another guy. Where did you exit?
I exited. I woke up like at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this was this crazy thing because I woke up and I was like, wait a minute, did I get up? It was 13 points.
Nice.
But what I was gonna say is, um, when ES opens up in a gap, most of the time you already look at, and even this week is the good proof that sometimes the plays are happening after hours. Um, because that's what they'll do, and that's what kind of sucks because most of the play will happen after hours, and then there won't be no meat left on the bone for live hours unless it's gonna pull back. Um,
Why did you think? So I looked at this last night, probably around your time, probably around the 1600 time frame. So a little bit
okay,
after you'd already started your
right
play. So
here.
I kind of look at it there. But for me, it's actually a little bit later than that because it had already gap filled. It had just gap filled not too long after I looked at it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, at this point, I have no idea what to do with it. Stuff is moving so slow. You can't really fib anything during, the current price action. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, so why were you confident that it was going to continue to go up and not down? Because me, when I'm looking at that, I'm like, I have no idea what the thing's going to do. If it's going to go up or down, I might as well just flip a coin. Had no clue. It had already been up quite a bit, so I almost want to pull back. Certainly if I had fibbed out the day before his candle to the, it would have kind of looked like it should actually pull back at least to like half candle retrace of yesterday, but it didn't do that.
Hmm.
But again, I just didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. So I just closed the computer. But what made you confident that it was going to continue to go up and then you could actually go to bed and let this thing ride?
The thing that gave me the confidence was I had a good entry and I had a stop loss where I was comfortable, um, waking up in the morning and being a stop loss, which is $100. Um, but right here, this doji right here, this doji level, I seen price action come up to it, and that's where it rejected. You see it reject a little bit, and that's what you see here. So it came up to that doji level, and it rejected it. But I seen the 200, and the RSI and the MACD right here. So you get the cross right here, and you kind of gotta assume. So after I got that level, and I said it yesterday in the chat as well. I said if we get over this doji level, we're shooting up to this weekly doji, and we're a little bit past it. So that I had a stop loss. I didn't even put a target on. I didn't know if it was gonna run after hours, but I knew if it could get over this particular level right here, that it would shoot up.
Have you been using the MA6?
What's that?
Sorry, can't ask for the minutes. Have you been using the MA666?
Oh yeah. And that's what I have right here. Is this blue line? And the crazy part is that it does work. It works. The bounces off of that work pretty freaking accurate. Um, but right here, the reason why I got in is the Bollinger Band lined up with the 200, and then RSI right here got the cross. MACD was already over right here, a little bit like 2 bars ahead. And usually when these two line up, and then you get the little gray bar or the off color that the buyers or the sellers are getting out of the way, when those three line up, it's almost like I said last week. It was 17 out of 18 trades were green when those three lined up. And if you kind of try to, even Brandon, he when you kind of try to predict what the MACD is gonna do, you're going to you're going to they're gonna be in line and they're gonna go in your way. The MACD, like I said, I'm eyeing the MACD. Like if I see the cross right here, usually within 3 or 4 bars they get the cross, and if I see, like say I get the RSI cross, okay, I'm looking at the MACD. Is it getting closer? Is it closing in? Okay, the next bar, is it getting closer? Yes. So if you get like 2 or 3 bars where it is getting closer, then most likely it is gonna cross. And then it gets across right here, and then it just gets jumbled. That's where it kind of gets iffy. But when
That dotted line, sorry, Semper, that dotted line is what the 200?
yeah, this is a 200. The one with the
I
dots,
get it.
the big dots, yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
that's a 200. But when this is muddled, when this is not clear, because the lines are like intermixed, kind of intertwined with each other, you're like, well, what the heck? What's gonna happen? The only other thing you got to look at is Bollinger Band. So you get this light, you get this. So you look at price action where it is just to see it relative to the moving averages, price levels, weekly levels or daily levels or doji levels. Those are really strong supports and resistance levels. When it's going to that, so you got that right. So it's like you got muddy glasses, and then you're kind of wiping away the mud to get a clearer picture. So you look at the chart to see where it is in relativity to whatever system you use. And then you come down to the RSI, okay, what might happen? So the Bollinger price action is at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. I see the 200 coming up right here. Like that's what I seen right here when it opened up right here. I wanted to get a pullback to the 200, and I told myself when it was right here, I want to pull back to the 200 so it could gain strength to come up and close the gap. Um, so I looked at that, and then I kind of walked away, came back, and I said, okay, I'm starting to see the Bollinger Band stack up with the 200. Okay, what might happen? Okay, if it's right here, you see it right here, kind of lower high right here. Um, you want it to come back and confirm. Kind of like we use a confirmation on trend lines or fib levels where it comes up and then it comes back down. That's kind of what happens here. So the RSI goes into overcoat, goes up past it, shies away a little bit, shies away, and then it comes back and confirms. Confirms that it creates a higher low. It's still a higher low compared to this over here. Um, and then it bases out at the bottom of the Bollinger Band. You get the two crosses, and then you get the little sellers getting out of the way. It sucks that you can't see the freaking volume, but let's see what it looks like. Uh, really? Well,
Yeah, those tiny bars just get lost in times. There we go.
Jesus. So you get that little squeeze indicator. Remember two little bars? So the volume is getting sucked up, kind of like in a geyser or whatever we call it.
Yep.
It's getting sucked up, and then boom, slingshot. Where's it gonna slingshot? Short or long? Most likely long, cause you got sellers moving out of the way. You got the bullish cross right here. You got the MACD cross, and then not only that, you got the bottom of the Bollinger Band. So if you were just scalping this, even though this is 3 points, 4 points, that would have been a good scalp to have, and that's what I would recommend. 2 to 4 point scalps if you're barely starting out and you're getting used to futures. After hours, 2 to 4 points, it's more than a good goal to have. And like I said right here, so your target could have been the 50 EMA or SMA, whatever you use, and then the top of the Bollinger Band. That's where you could have locked in your 75% or 3/4 or whatever you tend to lock out, and then let one ride. But like I said, I entered here. I seen the strength coming in, and I hadn't, and it was a mistake that I didn't put a target. Usually I have a 10 point target. That's what I've been using the last 2 weeks is a 10 point target, and I've been hitting it after hours. So that was probably another reason why I was a little bit confident. After hours lately, you've been getting a lot of bigger moves than normal. For the last 2 or 3 weeks,
Hey,
I've been
Semper,
hitting 2 points or 10 points. What's up?
quick question. Are you using the aftermarket and pre-market candles or not?
Yeah.
Because I see some gap over there, and I
Huh?
don't know if it's that gap around what says 2
Yeah, right
o'clock.
here.
Yeah, that one. It had a
Yeah, two.
gap. I'm not on my computer. Sorry, I'm at the
Yeah,
phone.
yeah, it had a gap from here to here.
Okay. Huh.
Um,
Okay. Thanks.
yeah, if this price action would have happened right here, then I probably would have expected the bounce to be right here with no gap. It probably would have opened up here, hit the 100, held the 100, and then shot back up. But once it opened up below the 100, okay, I'm already looking for a bounce off the 200. And that's what kind of you gotta, I mean, that comes with screen time and experience where you cannot get that unless you're there at the open. I'm not sure if everybody is there at the open of futures, but you start to notice these patterns. Because every day is a different pattern. And Brandon has always said, if price action opens up inside previous day candle, then you know the odds of it going to half candle retrace are a lot higher. Um, but yeah, those are just plays that come with with time and being on the screen a lot. Um, Brandon has mentioned them before, um, and you just gotta play them. And after hours is a lot easier to play, especially like I said, you can easily walk yourself through this play because it's moving like like a slug or a snail, and you're just seeing it Okay, it's getting closer, and you seeing it by. Oh, and that's one thing that I wanted to mention was that I talked to Ninja Trader support. By default, most indicators come to with the settings as bar closed or on bar closed. So right here, the calculate, everyone has a different time. Um, and you gotta set the messed up part is you gotta set it for every single freaking thing. Um, but most of them come with bar on close, and that's where you'll see a little bit of lag. And I guess that's just done for computer purposes or computer performance purposes. Obviously, with on bar close, the calculations will only happen when the bar closes. So there'll be less calculations compared to each tick or each price change. Um, these are kind of the same, but price change calculates more than on tick. So if you want the most accurate, make sure you put it on price change and then hit apply and make sure you save your workspace. If you don't save your workspace, it's gonna revert back to whatever it was. Um, yeah, so just be careful with that. Um, because we discovered that a couple weeks ago where
Can you
brown
do
eye.
that on Thinkorswim or only
What's
on
that?
Ninja?
What's
Can
that?
you do that on Thinkorswim or only on Ninja Trader?
I haven't checked out Thinkorswim, but Ninja Trader is what I mainly use to trade. I've noticed that. I could check. I'm not sure.
It's funny you say that because just before we started this chat, I was looking at RSI and Thinkorswim RSI and my Ninja Trader were totally different. Thinkorswim is like pointing up and my Ninja was pointing down. I mean, I was like, that's really weird. And then I went to look, I'm like, oh, I didn't save that change that you just did. I didn't save it. So when I reloaded Ninja, it defaulted back. And
Hmm.
once I changed Ninja to that price change that you just showed, they both lined right back up.
Yep. Yep. And that's what I noticed because I was like, man, they're a little bit off. I didn't know what to trust. And I've been playing like that for a couple of years now. I was like, geez, I can't believe I just barely discovered that.
It's weird because
Uh,
I've never really seen that difference before. Maybe I just hadn't paid attention between the two. But I know you had mentioned that in chat like a day or two ago or whatever. I don't remember. And I made that change, but again, I didn't save it. And then now I just totally noticed it. Like, holy cow, these are way off.
yeah.
They're in totally different directions. What's going on? And I was like, oh, I didn't save that. And sure enough, made that change, and now they lined right up. So
Yeah, and that's where I was getting a little bit thrown off because I would see RSI, and that's where I noticed it was with RSI that it wouldn't print the line until the candle had closed. The only indicator that doesn't work on and that you need to have it on tick is the volume up, the volume down. If you put on price change, you'll get an error saying that it works. See what I mean? It says it relies on each tick or on bar close. So you just go back in here and make sure you change that to. I usually use tick. Um, nice little squeeze, little consolidation though.
So on MACD, do you ever use the blue bars?
Not that much.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of do it like to reference back, like okay, how big was the seller wave over here compared to the buyer wave?
Mm-hmm.
But like I use that more. I use that more on TTM. It's
Yeah.
like I use TTM for this, because they kind of line up.
Yeah. It looks like the MACD bars kind of anticipate what the TTM bars are going to do.
Mhm. A little bit you see right here.
Mm-hmm. Like they do the formation first. I don't know if that's useful, but it might be.
It will be because look, well, it's telling you that it's gonna cross right here, a couple
Oh
bars
yeah.
into it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a good eye, good eye. And then right here, like I don't know, I would have been kind of maybe enter here just because you got this gibberish
Yeah.
and you got TTM, but you're still you're like what the heck? The only thing that would help you is this four little consecutive
Yeah.
fire beats, and there was no seller beats after this spot right here. If there was a seller beat after that, then you would have been okay, a little bit iffy. But
Yeah.
you only see what like one, two, three, four, five, 6 bars. And that's where you kind of gotta combine them together. And that's why I kind of like that Brandon was kind of walking us through this morning. And I think every morning, if you show up every morning and you're there just to hear him describe what the play's gonna do. And this morning kind of confirmed what he was looking at because I was looking right at the same thing, and that was at MACD.
Mhm.
That was at MACD that crossed right here. And you see how it opened up wider and it was wider and then it would get closer and then it stayed a little bit closer and then it stayed a little bit closer. And then I wanted it to cross bullish down here. And it kind of did. It did it right at the line though. And if you follow that, if you use RSI and MACD, you'll be good. You just
Mhm.
man price action. If you use zones, you can use that too because you would be using like a zone right here. I'm sure there was be a zone right here of resistance.
Yeah.
Of support or whatever.
Just right now, watching you scroll around this chart, I'm noticing I wouldn't take this to the bank right away, but I'm noticing that the shape of the MACD waves really kind of does anticipate the
TTM.
crossovers. Well, the crossovers on the
Hmm.
MACD.
Yep. I
Yeah,
guess we just gotta combine it all together. I mean, it's like we're turning our brains into computers.
I'll tell you, it looks great.
Um, but like I said, it's only if it fits your style.
Yeah,
If you're not using it, no pressure to use it. Use whatever helps you. I'm trying to just present the tools, the different tools that could help you, especially when it's choppy. When it's choppy and you use these tools together, they've been laser. Even when when we don't have no sense of direction, if
yeah,
you combine them together, you'll get a little bit of you know.
right. Well, also the thing is like if you're acclimated to watching 1 minute indicators anyway, then it's cool to throw in another one and to see how they relate because the differences in how MACD operates versus the differences in how TTM operates, it's pretty just spending a little bit of time with it, you see how they do work hand in hand. Because I'm really focused on 1 minute indicators, maybe too much, but like to tie together, like you know, I don't know what I'm saying right now, but like the way they relate, it looks good to me.
Hmm. Here's a good example on the 5 minute. Well, this morning it was bad because I believe the MACD was right here. No,
Mhm.
that's uh right here. We're saying like, oh shoot, it's gonna be bear. The MACD doesn't look good. But like Brandon says, sometimes you just need that reset. And what tells you that the reset's gonna what tells you that the reset's gonna happen is that RSI is still moving up and MACD is coming down. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's like coming down, but it's gonna hold that average line. Why?
yeah,
Because RSI is still going up.
yeah. I mean, this is an interesting example also because this one seems like it'd be easy to hang in for because buyer volume also looks so good.
Hmm.
But could you actually go over what you just said about the way the MACD and RSI are behaving right there? I didn't quite catch the nuance.
Like right here,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Um, right here, you want right here the RSI is telling you that it's that MACD you're not gonna get that cross,
Mm-hmm. Right.
especially right here
Because it keeps getting those crosses.
because it keeps pulling it up.
Yeah.
Right here, it pulled the RSI pulled up the MACD and it prevented it from crossing.
Yeah.
It
That's
kind of moved inverse of what the MACD was doing.
right. Because if you're over focused on MACD right there, you see how like the waves get small and the cross is about to happen, and the
Yeah.
wave gets small and the cross is about to happen. So if you're
Yep.
over focused on that and not watching the relationship between the two indicators, you could get misled.
Yep.
Mm, cool.
And this is what I was gonna say. It was a good example of where they line up and they cross. And if they cross within like 5 bars of each other, if these three cross or line up within 4 to 5 bars of each other, and this is what I mean. So you get the R side cross on this red bar, right? You get it right there.
Yeah.
You don't get the MACD cross yet, but the wave, like you said, is telling you that it's you're gonna get the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And then right here, R side is spreading apart from the average, so it's telling you it has more strength to get the cross.
Yeah.
And look at lo and behold, TTM sellers getting out of the way, buyers coming in on a TTM wave right
Yeah.
here. That's a lot of buyers right here.
Yeah.
But like I said, you get this one, that's 1 bar, and then you get one, two, three. On the third bar, you get the cross, the MACD cross, and then you already had the sellers moving out of the way, and then you had
Yeah.
TTM.
Yeah. And then price action itself gives you a good indication of entry after that pop.
And where does it do it? At the 50.
Yep.
And that's another thing. So if price action is not near the 50 and this doesn't happen, then there's not going to be a bounce on the 50, right? So let's say it's closer to the 100. So then you start to see, you kind of start, you want to start to see, you kind of want to predict what RSI is going to happen, right? So let's say price action was, let me see if I can pull up a different one. Is there a different one we could pull up? And that's what I mean. Where damn, this is taking forever. Is that even the right one? Oh no, that's last year. Shoot, whatever. Um, so you use these little zones, right? From the 50 to the 70, or from the 50 to the 30, right? So you look at price. That was a nice little squeeze on ES. Um, so the last example, it bounced off the 50, right? So price action was closer to the 50. In this example, it's closer to the 21. So you're right here, you're looking, and then you're looking at this, at the RSI, and if it comes close near the 50 and it's near a moving average, that's where the possible bounce might be.
Yeah.
And that goes with any moving average.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see it closer to the 100, like let's say it's way spread apart, and you see it, let's just act like this yellow line is a 100. You're already thinking, okay, I'm expecting for it to hold and bounce right here. So how do you know it's going to hold and bounce, or how can you kind of predict that it may hold or bounce? Is how the MACD looks and how the RSI look.
Yeah.
Um, but any questions? Any ideas? Any um, any
I got
indicators?
one.
Yeah, what's up?
Thanks, man. Long ago, I remember that a friend of yours was making some model with ChatGPT or something, and it was beating the index by like 300%. Or, do you remember that?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Long ago, a friend, I think it was a friend of yours or Lasagna's
Oh yeah, yeah,
that he
yeah.
was making yeah.
Yeah, his name is Jacob. He's on YouTube. He has his own little YouTube channel, but he sells trading bots either to trade his
Mm-hmm.
style, to trade his strategy, but
Mm-hmm.
he also teaches you how to create your own.
Oh,
And that's kind of using this
he
um,
uses Ninja Trader or
yeah. Well, he uses
oh,
NinjaTrader and he uses I think he links it to TradingView or Interactive Brokers.
yeah, that makes sense. We're trading with
Where
Interactive.
did it go?
And
There it is. So you use this trading strategy builder. It's pretty, and anybody can do it. Like, um, mm, yeah, just found price change. Sorry, it's taking a little bit. So you come over here, you get this window when you unlock the code, and then you kind of trade on these indicators, the indicators that you use. So like you could put the RSI, and it tells you. So you put the RSI in there, and then you can adjust these settings. Um, I went to take a trade on those. Um, I went to take, when, like, let's say like how I said, these three that line up, and that's something that I'm working on, is the RSI, MACD, Bollinger Band, to trade for the trading bot to take a trade, right? Without me, no emotions involved. Um, so we've got down the strategy pretty good of taking trades and exiting. The only thing we need to figure out is the stop loss part. Um, just because you need to be. Sometimes it depends. You don't want. We don't. I don't want the stop loss to be static. Because sometimes the stop loss can be a trend line. A break of a trend line. Sometimes can be uh, a break of a moving average, or it can be a break of the Bollinger Band. I usually don't use it on the break of a Bollinger Band because sometimes that's where those are where the squeeze levels happen on the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, like right here. You see, if you were to stop out at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, um, you that's where the plays would always reverse on you.
Have you ever used the parabolic SAR?
The what?
The the SAR is SAR, the parabolic SAR.
Oh, the parabolic motor? No, I haven't.
Uh, that one. Because that kind of is like it's supposed to be used as a moving stop loss,
Hmm.
or perhaps the ATR
Yeah.
as a trailing stop. There's a an indicator in TOS, the ATR trailing stop, which you can use as a trailing stop. Haha. For that purpose. Yeah, I know. And some guys I've seen using it as a complete strategy, using that the HR trailing stop with an 9-day EMA, and moving the parameters around the numbers.
Hmm.
But then again, I've given a try or not.
Well, you gotta just use what works for you. Especially, I mean, for the trading ball, I'll take that into consideration. That's for sure. I'll try to see what if I can use that. But usually we're trying to use targets of either, you kind of gotta think like a computer in relative to, and I think this is what's kind of helping me clarify. What's the move gonna be easier to do? Is it gonna be easier like right now, right? Like price actions at the 21. Is there a bounce? Possibly because the RSI is so close to the 50, but MACD is spreading apart. So is it gaining strength? Maybe, but it's easier for the computers to bounce off the 21 because it's already there for support. But if it busts through, then obviously it's gonna go down to why? To the 50. Why? Because the Bollinger Bands are lining up right there. And it just lost the 21. Okay, so now RSI, is it looking like it's gonna hold the 21? No, because the RSI is still on the downtrend. But if it would have crossed right here, if the RSI would have crossed, or if we get a cross right here, then I'm thinking bounce. So that would be the first cross, and then the second cross you would want to see these getting closer. And that's what's kind of telling you, okay, we might get a bounce here. And that's what might kind of help you um, get in or get out or close out your trade. See, you got that line of support right there because it was resistance. You got that line of support. It lines up with the 50s. It lines up with the Bollinger Bands. The RSI still doesn't look good, but it got sucked up. So the next candle, if the RSI doesn't start to point down, then I'm assuming it's gonna go down. If it busts through this zone, then the next line that it might hit is the 100. And that you just gotta you just walk yourself through through every single candle. Okay, so you look at the candle, what's it looking like? What's RSI? See, so RSI kind of went up. Did you guys see that? It kind of flattened out or it went up. So okay, we might get a bounce right here at the 50. It's looking like a bounce. Did MACD kind of close in? Yeah, it didn't. So okay, we might not. We might have continuation down. It lost the 50 RSI. Now I'm thinking downside. But if we get the cross right here, this is where you would expect if it goes down one more candle and you see, okay, it lost to 50. What am I expecting now? A confirmation of continuation down. Where's the confirmation? The confirmation would be hitting its head on the 50 RSI. And then MACD still spreading apart. See, so it's gonna get that cross. Hopefully cross, bounce up, hit the 50, and continue down to the 100. Who knows? If you get the MACD cross, then I would expect a bounce. It's alright. Got off topic. Cool. Any trades or anybody want to jump and share their trades?
I have a couple. Did Whiplash have a couple as well?
Yeah, he did. I don't know if he's still on or if he had to
Yep, nope, sorry, I was having PC issues there. I couldn't unmute. Yeah, I can do it if you want.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, go in the chair. You can share when you're ready.
All right, just give me a sec. I'm not quite set up. Whoopsies, what did I do here? All right, let's see. Screen share. All right, let me know if you can see my screen. Oh, you can't yet.
Not just yet. Yep, there we go. Yeah.
All right. All right. So first I got to apologize for the, you're gonna, with all these lines, you're gonna, get a seizure, whatever. I have fibs on top of fibs. I'm gonna have to kind of show you what it is. It's a hot mess. There's some weekly and daily fibs on it. But the fib that I used here, well, first I need to go back to something we were talking about before we started recording is I've had to totally revamp kind of what I'm trading because I've been taking some pretty FOMO-y trades, which is putting me into some bad, my entries have been pretty bad. And with that combined, I've also not had a good idea of where I should stop out. So what has happened is I get into bad trades because I've FOMO'd and chased a little bit, so my entries suck. And then when the trade goes against me, I don't really have a good stop out. So I end up taking bigger and bigger reds until it's so painful that I just have to, just close out the trade, which is usually the worst place to stop out. So I've been dealing with these issues. So to combat that, I've really gotten rid of a bunch of stuff. And I've basically said that any trade I'm going to do now is going to be, it has to have a fib going with it. And my buy zone is going to be between the 50 and the 38. If it doesn't get within the 50 and 38, then it's a mistrade. I just won't touch it. And my stop out is going to be, no matter what, a hard open close under the 38. So it's going to be really simple. It's going to just treat this much more like just being a robot. And with that, I've also gotten rid of some indicators because I've also suffered from indicator overload. I'm just trying to watch too much and it's getting too confusing. So I got rid of TTM here. I've only kept it on my screen just for the dots, but forget about the waves because the waves are just messing me up. And even the dots I don't really use, but I figure I might use them. So I kind of left them there, but technically speaking, I just totally get rid of TTM. And even volume, even though it's here, and Brandon even said it earlier this week, how volume isn't really working the way it was before. There's so much manipulations going on as of late. The volume hasn't been, especially the 1 minute volume, hasn't been all that great of an indicator. So I haven't really been paying attention to that either. I still keep RSI and MACD though, and I definitely like those. So with that being said, for this trade, the fib that I did use, and you have to bear with me again because of all this, is I pulled back to this guy right here, and it was this red doji that I drew off of. This is the 100, and I used this guy right here because he touched the it has a nice wick there that I liked, and it went through the 100 EMA, and it touched the 50 EMA as well, which is that yellow line. So the green line's 100. This yellow line is the 50 EMA. But it touched both of those, so I kind of like that. And then I pulled it back. Now, I didn't actually even see this trade. I was away from my computer, so I didn't actually even draw that fib until somewhere in, I think it was around here somewhere, is when I actually draw that. So all this had already happened. And this would have been my initial buy zone, but I'd already missed it. I wasn't even at my computer. So what I did is I put a fishing order here, right here at the 38, for two contracts. Lo and behold, it came down and it touched that. I grabbed two, and my rule of thumb is I'm going to take at least one off at the 100 and let anything else ride to the 161. Here's where the lines messed me up. I actually thought that I put the sell order in. I thought this was the 100 because I was just doing kind of quickly, but it wasn't. It was from a different line. So I actually closed out too early. I didn't realize until it was actually past that. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That was my 100. That wasn't my 100. But whatever. The trade still worked. Went up there. And then I was able to hold, and I got out a little before the 161 just because that's what I generally do. I put my other one here, and it filled both. So that for me was a successful trade. And I did that trade. I literally ignored. I literally didn't look at other indicators. It was more like a robot. I was going to buy here, and if it dipped under the 38, and if it hard open close anywhere in here, I would have just gotten out no matter what, even if it rebounded. So because of that, I was pretty comfortable with it, and it went the way I want. Full disclosure, this was sim, this wasn't real. And so I only put so much, only so much credibility on sim accounts, because the psychology still is different. But this was a sim trade because I'm just trying to get used to doing this before I actually went live. But that was a trade. That was my first trade, again, off the 38, bought there. And then the 100 and the 161 was a sold. My goal is to get 4 contracts to be able to buy 4 within the zone somewhere, and take 3 off at the 100 and let that 1 additional ride up to the 161. So that's that one.
Nice. Hey, there's a couple things that I had. First thing, Sim kind of, even though, after blowing up a few accounts, you go back and you Sim trade. Well, when you go back and you Sim trade, you want to create those rules around your strategy, which what you explained, you stuck to the T, and you ended up winning. I mean, pretty good chunk of money right there. Um, but things that I've noticed, what made you put the fishing order out right here? Just the fib level?
Just a fib level. I
Yeah.
said I'm going to buy I'm going to put, it's got to be within the zone. So I put the price action was still up here somewhere when I actually put the fishing order there. But I'm like, listen, I wasn't confident yet. This was kind of my first one. So I wasn't even confident at the 50. So I'm like, I'm going to put one way down here at the 38, because anywhere between the 50 and 38 is going to be my buy zone.
Yep.
And that's why I put it there. No other reason, but that was it. And like I said, if price continued to go down, fine, I would have stopped out for a small loss. But I knew, for me, and this is really important for me, is I knew where my stop was going to be 100%. If it hard open close on this line, I'm stopping out no matter what. So the risk was just minimal. I'm going to buy here, and I mean, we're only talking like a point or two, in here, unless it a hard open close, one of these giant candles that just go south. But okay, shit happens. But for the most part, in my risk reward here was minimal risk, even if it went low. So that's why I wasn't overly paying attention to some of these other guys. And I guess these kind of look like shit now that I'm kind of looking at them. I mean, this is technically speaking, with these indicators, maybe I wouldn't have taken the trade, but for fib, and that's what I was working on, is why I did it. And like I said, it did work out.
Yeah, what I've been doing lately is see how your buy zone kind of lines up with the Bollinger Band.
Yeah, went outside the Bollinger Band. Yeah.
I would put my first order at the Bollinger Band, and then
like right in between the 50 and 38,
yeah, put it in
yep.
there, attach it to the Bollinger Band because you know how it might move.
Yep.
And then the second one I would attach to the Bollinger Band, but put like 3 ticks down, which it should line up with your 38.
Can you literally attach it to a buy to the Bollinger Band, or were you just when you say attach it, or just kind of like eyeballing it but putting it in there?
No, you can attach it to the Bollinger Band.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yep. If you hit control If you hit control and then you just move your order around, whatever it's nearest to, the little attach button will come up.
Really?
And it,
So if I so what if I this is just sim anyway. So if you
yeah,
put
yeah,
a
yeah. Put an order out.
if I put a buy there and then hit
uh,
control,
Yeah, hold control and then
yeah.
attach it to like hover around the bottom Bollinger Band.
Do I need to move it like that?
Are you holding control? Are you
I
on
am.
Mac?
You know what? I got two keyboards. I'm using the wrong keyboard. Look at dope. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. Okay.
See
Ah,
how it
there.
says
Yeah.
attach? Now
Yeah. I
click
see.
on it and now click on attach
Yeah.
and it'll
Okay.
tell you see Bollinger
Yeah,
Band
look at
or you
that.
can change it. And like I said, you can offset the ticks. See how it said offset? You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
put like 3 ticks below and that
Mhm.
if it lines up with the moving average, then you're right there.
Oh yeah. All right. God.
So
All right.
you
So
attach it there, and then your confidence, like you said, you got your zone, right? You got your
yep.
your buy zone, and then if it lines up with another moving average, like the 50, the 100, or the 200, or if you're using the 666, and it lines up with that, and then it lines up with the Bollinger Band, it's like no brainer to take a trade in that level. And then I mean, you get the RSI cross. You get the RSI cross right here, right at your entry, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and,
I see. Yep.
and,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then you get the MACD cross, what you want to do right there, boom.
Yep. A few after.
So you
Yep.
know that's like 85% chance or more of that playing out.
You know, it was weird too doing it like this because even with sim, because I've always tried to keep sim just like it is as close to my actual trading as possible. So I went in and I dumbed down. You know, you start the sim account starts with like 100 grand or something.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trading on a really small account, so I dumbed it down to what my account size actually was, just because I mean with 100 grand, but then yes, you can always dig your way out if you just keep taking contracts until the
yeah.
trade works or whatever. But that's not reality. So I really try to keep them close. But even with sim, I was finding that like because I was keeping them so close that I was having a hard time staying in trades, even on sim. I'm like, oh, I gotta get these points. It was like I was treating it so much like a real account that I was still like getting shaken out of account. It was really weird. Like I said, my head was all messed up. So so this was nice. It was just such an easy trade. It dinged it and then just kind of went, and there we go. Wow. And even through this giant pullback, historically I would have been kind of pissed that it went up like this high, tagged up here,
Yeah.
and then, well, actually it filled beforehand, but I've got another trade where it kind of goes down first or whatever. And just being hold through the pullbacks until it kind of goes back up is just so much easier. Because it got all the way down here and fine, I would have just stopped out here. I already took some here, so I already had some profit or whatever. So it still probably would have been a green trade, regardless. So it's a good way for me, anyways, to get my head wrapped around and not just panic every time it's doing something, every little thing that's going against me or whatever, where I'm just like, it's good, the sky's falling. So it worked.
Even here, like say you played this 161 up here,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, well, does it have room to continue going up or what? Well, you come back down. Where's it hit? The 5061, which is a little bit higher than your buy zone, but it based out at the bottom RSI. So
Yep.
you get the cross right there, then you get the second cross right here, and then it's at your buy zone. Set a
Yep.
freaking
Again.
fishing order, and like you get to predict it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're seeing price action come down right here, and you're like, you see it right here. You're like, okay, what do I want to see? I want to see it either base out here or go into the overcool and then come back out of overcool. Once it comes out of overcool, I want to see the MACD cross. So you pay attention right here. You get the RSI cross right there. Wait like 2 or 3 bars, and then you get this cross, and then you're like right here.
Gotcha. Yep.
But
What is the rule? Once it hits the 161 and it begins to pull back, where is the next buy? If you want to buy, you think it's still going long, do you wait to come back to the 100? Or do you wait for it to come? I can't. Or do you wait for it
Yeah.
to come back around the 76?
Well, that's where it might bounce. So like if you're scalping long, like say it topped out at the. Oh, hold on, I got a call coming in.
Well, he's on the call. I'll move on to another one or whatever. I mean, come back or whatever. So who knows how long it'll be. Let's see. So my next trade here, same type of philosophy. I use obviously this fib here, and I use this pullback. This guy wasn't really touching anything I really liked. Generally I wanted to hit some sort of a moving average, and this one really wasn't. But it was kind of a bigger kind of pullback, so I grabbed it, pulled it back, and this time I put the fishing order was at the 50, and I think I had one at the 38 as well, but it never filled. So again, and this one I took two. And again, I took one, came off right here at the 100. And again, kind of held through this, and then boom, it went to the 168 as well. And again, by doing this, made it, again, this is a better example of in the past, or still now really, when it gets up to into this type of here and doesn't quite hit my target, and you get this pullback, is when I always want to get out. I get really kind of pissed or panicky or whatever. But just having the hard rule just made me waiting through all this pullback was able to do it, where in the past I just haven't been able to do that before. I just knew, hey, if it gets down here, I'm going to step out. If it doesn't get there, it's just going to go to my target one way or the other. Whatever happens, happens. And again, this one got to the target.
Doing awesome.
Let's see here. Do I have another one? Here's another one that gets a little bit clear. Again, same crap. Again, the fib went from this red guy, which I really like because it hit, you got the 50 SMA and the 100, it both touched. Because, except for this stupid candle there is really the nice first red pullback. I pull it back to lows. There's my fib. I put buy here, which filled. I don't know. This one I put in after the fact, so it already come down and back, and price was already in here where I had this buy here. I wanted one more, so I figured, hey, if it goes back to 38, I'll grab it. But it never did, because the next candle is the finishing, so it never actually filled this guy. But again, I took one off here at the 100 and one off at the 161. Again, I generally, a lot of times I'll put it just before that target. Just that's how I do it. But again, the trade worked out pretty well. And again, through all these my whole heart rate was way lower. It was just so much easier to trade. And then with all that being said, the one actually live, these are all sims. The one live account I do, like a dope, was this one. And I had the fib drawn, but price action already moved kind of up past it. And we're in this consolidation period here, right at the 50-100. We just got this little cross here. So I'm still thinking, all right, I think there's a good chance it's going to continue higher. But if it doesn't, this is one time I took it where I knew where I stop was going to be. It was if it hard open close under the 100 here, under the 150 here, I was going to get out. And so I took the one trade. It did go up a little bit. I was actually thinking my old scalper mentality wanted to get out, but I held it, and it actually did go against me. But once I got to this hard open close under the 50, I did take out. It was like a 3-point loss, so it wasn't by any stretch the end of the world. And I don't have a screenshot, but I think it stayed right around here, and then it did fall off. It did go lower for a while. I don't know if it recovered. I can't remember. So while this trade, looking at indicators, totally sucks. Again, I was kind of focused on it just kind of holding this level. I guess these guys really were telling a different story here. But whatever. I was okay with it only because I knew where my stop was going to be, and I actually executed the stop in a good way. So I wasn't all that bummed about it. But that was my one live account, the one that I did not using the fib in the 38 and 50 strategy, and lo and behold, hey, I took a loss. So that's those, and that's all I got.
I mean, you kind of just, I mean, not to put blame on anything, but you prove to yourself when you stick to your rules, you win. When you don't, when you go against your rules, do you have the rules written down or written out where you can see them?
I have them written down. I don't, not where I visibly, they're in a notebook. They're not where I probably should leave them there. This one was harder, but this one actually kept me, well, it's funny because this one, I guess, in a way kind of hurt. But because of this loss here is one reason why I didn't trade today. During that whole consolidation period you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Again, it was above. I didn't have a good fib going. I had nothing I could use there. And there was, I'm just like, I'm not going to take these trades. This is what happened when I took a trade up there that had a bunch of bearish indicators too,
Hmm.
which was still happening today. This one went against me. Today would have worked, but I said, I'm not. Those are not my. Those are not my my bread and butter right now. So it's got to stick to it. So that's what kept me from actually trading today. I didn't even trade sim today because there was nothing that could fit within my with that strategy or whatever. I couldn't get a fib drawn that would actually
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
So
that's a good strategy to have is if you don't find something that fits your strategy, then don't take a trade. When you force the trades, that's when things go bad or south, whatever you want to call it. Um, but something that helped me is because I was stuck in that thing where I created rules, right? Created rules, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick to my rules. Well, FOMO would kick in, and I would start bending, and then later on breaking rules, and not until I actually post them on my computer where I can see the rules, just to kind of just hold me to them. But if I don't see them, I'll tend to break or bend the rules a little bit.
yeah, I can definitely see that. Maybe I'll get my sticky note out in front of me. So I can see
Um,
them.
just so you can visually see it, and just kind of like checking yourself, I guess.
Yeah. It's hard on days like yesterday and today. I had the same problem yesterday where I just couldn't get a good fib drawn. Um, I actually did have one that I did sim. It actually worked out pretty well. Not 100, didn't get to the 161.
Hmm.
But still it when everybody, and that's why sometimes, like I said, I have to minimize chat and just not look at it. And even today, I think I muted Brandon for a little bit because I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna trade, and just listening to this is really making me want to trade. So I just had to mute him out and just kind of, sit there and just watch price action myself. So I didn't
Okay.
trade or whatever. So sometimes it can be tough.
Go ahead, whoever's next, or if you're done, Whiplash. I
Yep,
got
all
I got
good.
another
Let me,
phone call coming in.
let me stop sharing here and Lasagna Cat or whoever can take over. Let's see. There we go.
It looks like I don't know if Semper's on at the moment. Oh no, he muted. But Chris C has the questions. What are your rules that you have posted on your computer? So that's a question for Semper. So when Semper gets back, ask him to answer that. For Chris C, I'm curious to know as well. But maybe I'll just go ahead and do my recaps and then get that yeah for Semper. All right, yeah, cool. Yeah. We'll get that all taken care of. So I only have two today. One red, one green. Uh okay. That looks like my screen. So my green trade is first. This trade is a new strategy. It's one that Semper showed me a while ago. And it's based on price action coming into a major level with the nice Bollinger Band setup, as well as RSI overcooled. Yeah, at the open, quick shot up and then down. This is a level that we had been watching. Oh, by the way, this was a trade I made on MES, but I'm showing you guys my SPY chart. So right here, this level is the 100% PIB from Powell. I think it was, shoot, I think it was March 22nd, Powell, if I remember. And yeah, we drew a fib from that data. It corresponds with this bright purple level, which over here, you can't really see it, but I think it's like, it's an algo from, I don't know, a while back. So it's really strong level. So when I saw the really strong level coincide with overcool down here on RSI and a big candle closing outside of Bollinger Bands, then a nice shot up back in there, and then a nice candle open inside of Bollinger Bands. So huge one down, close, right back up, open, and another one opens, major support and overcool. So when I saw this one open, I hopped in as soon as I could. Since it's an unfamiliar play, and not unfamiliar, but it's like, I think the first one I ever took live of this, maybe second, I decided to take my profits at the moving average traffic jam up here. I could have made my target the Bollinger Bands top, and also these were some really strong algos that I had charted out a while ago. But like I said, it's a new play for me, so I just want to take it up to like this moving average stuff. I mean, it just busted right through it, did a little dance up here, and it went up to those old algos, which is awesome. I probably, if I had felt more confident, like if I had been doing this setup for a longer time, I probably would have made my exit, my profit for the 61 fib of the Powell, but knowing myself, I would have gotten out early, and this is what would have made sense. You know, I'm not trying to say I definitely would have played it perfectly like that, but I definitely would have been in longer. But since this is a new setup for me, the moving average traffic jam here is fine profits for me. Also, there's a little green arrow down here. It's a new indicator on TOS that I'm checking out. It's called RSI crossover. And it plots these little arrows like right where a move might happen. It's not like you just see the arrow and go, yep, getting in. It's not like that, you know, because this is already a setup that I've been looking at, but it turned out that the RSI crossover arrows agreed with it. Anyways, I'm about to do a month of just watching and then trading sim. And so I'm going to make a bunch of notes about the RSI crossover, and then I'll probably use them in my plays after that when they look good in agreement with other indicators as we do stacking catalyst. But yeah, this is my one of two recaps for today.
Hey, Nightcat, what was the question you had? You said you had asked me to answer it or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was from Chris C actually in the Zoom chat. Chris C asked, "What are your rules that you have posted on your computer?" And that's for you. And we can pause my recaps for now if you want.
No, you're good. You just finish, and
All
then
right.
I'll answer his question.
Cool. Yeah, I got one recap after this one. So this is just one of two.
That was a play. What play did you say you were playing right here?
Yeah,
The
no
Bollinger
doubt.
Band?
It was a Bollinger Band setup with overcool on a major level. This was the 100% Powell CPI fib from
Hmm.
322, as well as an old algo level as the bright purple. And I also mentioned, I was telling you that I found that indicator RSI crossover, which is these
Yeah,
arrows. So I was saying before, it's not like you just jump in when you see an arrow. It's like you got to match it up with other stuff. But
yeah.
on this next month when I'm not trading live, I'm going to make a lot of notes on that because I've seen it play out and I've also had it seen not play out. So I'm just going to make some notes and, you know, but
Yeah, when the optimal combination is.
exactly right, exactly right. And this right here wasn't part of why I took the setup. I definitely noticed it, but I also know that I'm not that familiar with the indicator. It was the Bollinger Band overcool at major level is why I took the setup. And I took a profits at moving average tracking jam just because like I didn't, you know, it's like the second time I played this setup live, so I was
Yeah.
conservative. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely probably especially when you have like three three indicators of resistance or whatever right here. You have
Yeah.
the algo, you have the fib, you have the Bollinger Band. Maybe a way to create a rule is take your first profit a tick below the first resistance, and then
Yeah.
maybe put the second target between the next two resistance, or maybe a tick below the next resistance above.
Yeah. Well, makes
Um,
sense.
but yeah, definitely that was a good play.
Thanks. Quick question about the setup. Would this fit your requirements for this setup?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I thought I did a good job identifying that one, but I'm still personally like, testing it out with my personality, and it's just like I'm gonna make a lot of notes on this setup over the next month, which is awesome.
Yeah, test it out, and then I mean, if it works out for you, I mean,
Yeah.
the way that I use that setup, it works better on NinjaTrader. But it's always good to have SPY or the TOS as a reference too, because there's different levels there. But you can easily see, since it kind of match up to NinjaTrader, you can easily see a daily fib level
Mhm.
on the NinjaTrader.
Yeah. So,
Imaginary, I guess, or
so you like a Ninja
invisible.
Trader better just because like the way the chart looks is easier for you to read?
Not the chart, but you see how your RSI there's only one line,
Right, right, of course,
and
yeah.
then on the RSI on NinjaTrader there's two lines.
Yeah. It's
So,
funny with mine. Oh yeah, go ahead.
that was saying that's the reason why I use a NinjaTrader. I don't know if you can add the second line to the default TOS study, but
I
that's something that 709 is working on a custom study to have multiple.
Yep,
Uh,
yep. The one that we previewed last week, that looked
yeah,
cool. Yeah,
yeah. So,
it's
what was
excellent.
your question, or what were you gonna say?
Oh, what was I gonna say? What you call it? Um, oh yeah, I looked at TOS like RSI, what you call it? Like RSI,
Same.
indicators. Yeah, and I didn't find anything that provided the second line. I even looked up average and stuff. I'll check it again, but I wasn't able to like whip it up. But I remember you
Hmm.
saying that. That's actually when I discovered these little arrow guys, which I'll be researching over the next month.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to see, but I don't. What day is that? The 27th?
It's right here. Yeah, this is it says 31st up there, but it's not. It's the 27th. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna see, if it lined up with the crossover on NinjaTrader. Know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
So maybe we'll jump on sometime next week and we can kind of like, okay, it is giving you the signal for the crossover on NinjaTrader. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was wondering if that might be it, and yeah, we'll see if they coincide.
Maybe put the RSI. Do you have your RSI on your NinjaTrader?
Yeah, yeah. I put on the RSI with the two lines. I need to figure out my screen real estate so that I can have that up all the time. Everything's squished together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a
Yeah.
second. Chris C is adding some info right here on the Discord chat. There is a custom script that someone wrote in the premium side that has both RSI lines. TIDAN. Is TIDAN the name of the member or the study? That's the member. Oh, cool. All right, cool. Is it pinned or is it easy to locate? Maybe they're looking it up right now. Custom script. Yeah, that'd be cool. Um, right, while Chris is typing, I'll load up my other. Oh, he sent it to a couple people separately, including Chris C. Cool. You finding it useful? I imagine so. I wonder if we could get him to like, yeah, okay, yeah,
Hey,
cool.
Chris, can you share it?
A screenshot of it.
If you go to your study, you can share it, and then it'll give you that link. and I could pin it up. But if not, okay, we could ask him.
Also, Chris, do you mind if I flash that screenshot on my screen right now? Oh, wait, I feel like I should ask him first about it. Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, yeah, I'll do the screenshot. All right, here we go. So this is the this will show the indicator. Um, right on. So that's yeah, right here. Looks clean.
Yeah, it looks exactly like Ninja Trader.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool, man. I like
Exactly
that.
like Ninja Trader.
Yeah, nice and clean. Cool, buddy. Thanks for sharing.
We shall. We shall use it. I mean, it's useful to me. I don't know if anybody will find it useful, but like I said, if you find the little crossover,
I mean, the info you gave today is super
that'll
useful
be
for
laser.
yeah, for relating MACD to the RSI crossovers. Really cool. Um, so I mentioned I'm taking a month off to analyze my setups and see what works, and to analyze the things that I trade that do not work, and they do tend to be the same things. And this is one of them. This is like where I see like a big move and I fib it, and like I'm like, yeah, when it comes to my buy zone, I'm gonna do it. But like, there's no higher lows or anything. And then the volume looks crap, and but like I focus on it, like I get this weird mentality like that's the trade plan, you got to do it, and this like, and then I'll take like one indicator, it's like yeah, it's coming down to 50 RSI, but then also there's no higher lows. I don't know, it's just a mess. But the funny thing is like this is one of the setups, it's like half the time I play good setups, half the time I play lousy setups. The good setups when I really trade my system, really consistent win rate. But then like half the time I'm like, yeah, like I misidentify stuff. And these losses are sometimes larger than my wins. So yeah, this is it. And this is that same chart, you know, after it had done this great move. I was like, all right, round two, let's get it. And then you know, waste.
You have your fib drawn upside down? Or
Uh
no?
I got a 100 up here
Never
and then
mind. That's a different fib, huh? That's like your daily fib or something?
this one here that I drew is the is I just drew this from this price action, but this 100 down here and 61, that's from the daily pal fib from like March, what was it, March 22nd, I think.
Hmm. That is something that Brandon is going to introduce is playing the weekly fib body. I don't know if it's a fib body or the entire candle.
Mhm.
Most likely the fib body of the weekly, and then fibbing the zones, kind of like you did.
Yeah,
But on the weekly, you would fib from like the 100 to the 76 or to the 78, whatever it is,
yeah,
and then you would wait for a higher low, you know, or whatever it is around the 50,
right.
to continue going up to the 76. Seemed pretty legit, but we'll see when he presents it to us.
Yeah, looking forward.
Um, Seemed pretty interesting and pretty accurate, but we'll see.
Yeah, cool. And, you know, and like I said, as far as this trade goes, this is one of the ones where in hindsight, I'm like, why in the world did I take this? And like, because like I'm not really chasing plays as much as just like not identifying the pullback and getting tunnel vision and not really looking at like the larger picture. I'm just kind of like, I mean, that's pretty much the whole explanation. So the thing I'm going to really examine over the next few months, not few months, like the next month, heavily is to just be like, all right, let's really get my requirements down so that I don't tunnel vision once the time is happening. Because I think that's what happens. I think like I get some idea where to buy and I lose the big picture. Something like that. I'm on it. I'm gonna figure it out.
I I think a good idea to have or to do the next couple of weeks for the Fridays coming up
Yeah.
is to jump in depth into the rules,
Yeah.
like some of the rules that I have for the plays that I have. Um, So Chris, I do have some rules that I have. I have particular rules either to take a trade, not take a trade, are the fundamental rules. And like, for instance, do I have three catalysts? Is price action overbought? Is it oversold? Um, are we on an uptrend? Are we on a downtrend? Um, those are not necessarily rules, but questions that I ask myself. And once you start training yourself, asking yourself those questions repeatedly every day, your brain's gonna be like, okay, I'm not gonna take a trade until these three things meet or whatever it is. So I'll take a picture, but I have a set of those kind of questions, and then I got a set of rules for the play that I'm calling out. So if I'm calling out a fib play, then I have certain rules that that trade has to meet before I get in. If it doesn't meet that, then I'd rather miss it than risk it. Um, and we'll jump into all the plays that I use to consistently um, trade. But yeah, we'll do that. We'll jump into all those, and we could come up collaborate on them, because I know some of us have different rules. Um, but I think that'll help, and actually knowing what those rules are, because it's kind of hard trying to do it on by yourself. Um, so for the next couple of weeks, while Lasagna Cat's going through this reevaluation period, we're gonna jump into the rules. So whatever rules you guys have, let's come bring them forward and share them, because it might help, a struggling trader or something. Um, so yeah,
But,
hopefully that answers your question, and if not, we'll have them. We'll have them. We'll get more in depth into those rules. Thanks for the
um,
question.
so we're gonna check that out next week and maybe for like some weeks after that as well, like continuing.
Yeah, so you don't better not miss a class.
Yeah, these are gonna be good. They're gonna be essential classes. Oh, and just for the record, I mislabeled this. This is not profits. This is a stop. This is a stop. This is no nobody made money on that, at least not me.
Somebody's short, but I'm not.
Absolutely.
I'm not a short player. Like I said, I only use it when it strictly meets those rules. If it doesn't meet those rules, I'll never take a short.
Yeah, 100%. Um, ooh, all right. Well, that's it for me. Two recaps only. I had a couple more this week, a couple scalps that went against me, and like maybe one green scalp, but actually, like I barely traded after this day. In fact, I may not have traded after the 27th. I don't quite remember. I was like, I could tell my psychology was in spin out, which is why I made the declaration for April, whole month of April. So that's that.
Yeah, let's get that shit straightened out.
Hell yeah,
Um,
100%.
like I said, I think creating rules for each play,
Yeah,
I think will help you. But the only thing that's really gonna you have to stick to those. You can't bend them or anything.
yeah.
Um, the hardest part, like I said, maybe read that book, um, that Trading in the Zone. There's a couple other books that I've read. Um, one's called How to Day Trade for a Living,
Hmm.
and that's on Audible. How to Day Trade for a Living, and then the second part to that book is Advanced Techniques in Day Trading.
Mm,
And he pretty much teaches you risk management, a couple of little strategies, um, but definitely worth the read if you have time to pick it up. It
yeah,
might, like I said, in this game, you have to keep learning. Even now, even being with BRT for almost 5 or 6 years now, I'm always learning, and not just from BRT. I'm learning from Connor, Dave, um, Brandon, of course. But I also go on YouTube. If there's a new indicator that I'm using, I'll go, you know, knee deep or head deep into it before I start using it so I can really understand how to use it.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed when I first started trading, there isn't, I knew I had those tools. I had the RSI, I had the MACD. I didn't have TTM, but I mean, I had volume, but I didn't know how to use volume. I just knew that volume, big bars, yeah, there's a lot of people in there, but I didn't really understand volume beats, hidden volume, the little squeeze indicators where it squeezes down to like two little volume bars and it shoots up.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of start to, showing up every day, finding these indicators, even if Brandon introduces it to you. And let's say, like when Connor introduced Anchor VWAPs, that went over my head. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, me
That's
too.
totally different.
Yeah.
But, after doing some research, I got used to it. Give me 1 minute.
All right, cool. Chris C just posted the uh yeah, so there's that script in the futures channel. Cool. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. I'll post that. I'll pin it. Um, Make sure that we have it. And thanks to Titan. Is he a premium member? You said. Uh, well, thank you. I don't know if you chat with them, but I'll send them thanks. I'll post that up there. Um, but yeah, that does it for this week. Thanks for the recaps. Thanks for sharing Whiplash, Lasagna Cat. Thanks for the questions. Um, so yeah, the next coming weeks, think about rules that you can have or that you do have. I'm gonna be presenting the ones that I have, just to there's like I said, there's questions that I have asked myself, and then rules. And those questions is like five, uh, 5 or 6 questions, and you just kind of ask yourself before you even take the trade. But before you take the trade, you're already looking at price action. So as you ask yourself those questions that I post, you're gonna be looking at price action, and then like I said, you're gonna, depending on what play you're playing, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna looking at price action. I think I can use this play. Um, if I can't, you know, and then you wait for those indicators or those catalysts, and then so you have your rules and your questions that kind of guide you through your trade, and then you have the indicators or price action and moving averages that kind of give you an advanced look into your trade. So hopefully that'll help you laser in your trades and be more consistent. But thanks everybody for showing up. See you guys next week. Have a great weekend.
Yep. See you guys. Have a good one.